In this video, I'll show you how to make grass in Inkscape. Start by creating a series of paths using the Draw Bezier Curves and Straight Lines tool. And alternate the color between a few different shades of green. Once you have a good selection of strokes, copy and paste your 3 or however many stroke objects you have to the right side. You can make a few adjustments before continuing with the next step. It is now time to start interpolating the paths between these particular objects. It's important to have a balanced composition because it will make it considerably easier to create a more dynamic appearance later on. By selecting an object with a different fill, duplicate it, and create a union. At this point, add a special path effect called Interpolate Subpaths, and modify it as needed to add additional steps, as well as adjusting the trajectory. You can manipulate portions of the calculated stroke and see the dynamic changes. It is time to start applying a gradient effect. This is if you are planning on layering content and you want to highlight the focus to the top section while removing any focus from the bottom. Repeat this for any additional strokes which you want to create an interpolation, or you can even use a singular stroke to create an individual grass strand, adjusting the color as needed. This will create more variation in your compositions. Once you have a few grass strands that create a balanced composition, you can begin building it towards something more advanced. But it is important so that you adjust the opacity so that any content which is being layered, if it's not in the forefront, you want to fade it out somewhat towards the bottom. Applying this to individual strands as well. And manipulating paths as necessary. You can use fractals in a similar way that you would use the interpolated subpaths, with a few minor changes. It needs two objects. And if you're creating twigs or pebbles, combining these two objects and applying von Knock, which is the fractal pattern. For this, you will want to adjust the number of generations as well as perhaps the reference segment and how it is generating the fractals within the particular region. It's important to place interpolated and fractal results in a location which makes sense. Using fractals, you can add additional details. To make it appear like the foliage is more dense, use the pen tool and apply a gradient. For this, you will want to use color stops. And apply multiple color stop points. By creating compositions which their stroke interpolations and using broad strokes of color, you can create a grass appearance.